Hello and welcome to Magic is Essential Radio. This is Unabashedly Resolute Podcast, and I'm your host, Wes Mullins. We're going to dive into some topics about health and wellness, apologetics, some politics, who knows what we'll get into. We'll talk about life, and we'll talk about love. We're going to talk about the whole gambit of the human experience. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready. Here we go. It's Friday. What's going on? For those, my loyal listeners, I have not been on for the last 2 days. We had some issues here at the house. Not bad issues. We just had a lot of stuff going on. I was unable to fulfill the last 2 days of the podcasting. But I'm back today, and on a very special day, a very special Friday. Why? Because it's Friday. That's why, and it's the weekend. And my wonderful aunt has the kids for 2 days, so the wife and I get to have a mini little vacation here. But tonight we have our friends coming over, our Young Living team, our Magic is Essential team. They're coming over tonight. And we're going to have a cookout and just hang out and just talk about dreams and just, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be so good. Those of you that would like to be a part of the team so you can come to events like this, I'm going to tell you how in a little bit. Anyway, again, it is Friday. It is the 9th of November. And the year is just flying by, just screaming by. One of my professors at University of South Carolina used to say, every one of us is rocketing towards the grave. And it's just a very poetic way of thinking about, yes, we are all just headed that way very, very quickly. And being 41, I blink my eyes, it's summer. I yawn, it's winter. I mean, it's just that quickly. And life just gets going that fast. So, this is Magic is Essential Radio. This podcast is Unabashedly Resolute because that's what we want to help create in people is the feeling of being unabashedly resolute. Equipping you with the tools to think for yourself, to logically work out problems so that you don't simply just engage with people on a reflexive type of thinking. Those of you that follow the podcast will know what I'm talking about, reflexive and reflective thinking. And Andrew Clavin, I mentioned him last time, he said that politics is the opposite of thinking. We are demanded to choose a side. And I think the DNA of the American spirit is not one of blind loyalty. And I think that is what both the hardline Democrats and the hardline Republicans are finding out, that most Americans, our DNA is what Henry Clay said, or Patrick Henry. Now I'm confused. One of the Henry boys, Patrick Henry or Henry Clay, one of the guys named Henry, said, "Give me liberty or give me death. Do not make me choose." Even Voltaire, the French existentialist, said, I may disagree with what you say, but I will fight to the death you the right to say it. But in America now, we seem to be in this crossroads where we are extremely, extremely partisan. And we're every issue that comes up is a partisan issue. Not every choice is a binary choice. And by teaching you how to think, not teaching you what to think, if schools would teach kids how to think instead of what to think, you would see generations of people coming out. And I mean, think about this just for a minute. Think about this. It's so apparent to me, but it's not to everyone else. You have a whole generation of, I have to say it, a whole generation of liberal thinkers, not liberal in the sense of they're free in thinking, but as in a political dynamic and a political perspective, paradigm, liberal thinkers who go around telling everyone what to think. Now, this was the same thing that people criticized the church for many years, telling people what to think. Don't tell them what to think. And they come, and let me jump in here and correct myself. Everyone's doing this now. Everyone has trigger words. Everyone's doing this. So let's get rid of the labels. And I've just self-corrected and said, no, we all do this. Someone comes to me and says, no, you're saying that incorrectly. That's not what it is. It's this. Pick any topic. And someone says, no, you're wrong. It's this. The two questions to ask that need to be asked of everyone. Everyone needs to ask these questions when they are confronted with a situation like this. The first one is, says who? And why should I believe them? So when people that we're seeing today, educators and things, come to us and say, this is what this means, or this is what this word means, or this is how this word should be viewed, or when you come to microaggressions, well, this is wrong, and that's wrong, and this is wrong. It says who? And one, why should I trust you? Why should I trust you? Why should I trust that you're going to be the one that's telling me the truth? And I'll tell you why this is such a big deal. Because a lot of these same people are also relativist. That means that they believe that all opinions are equally valid and that there is no objective morality. It's relative morality. Each individual gets to figure out for themselves what is morally correct. Yet these same people, okay, I've got 4 or 5 thoughts going on here. I'll finish this thought, then I'll go to another caveat of this. These same people now are telling us, oh, this is a wrong thought. And I go, wait a second. You were just preaching how each individual person gets to come up with their own set of ethics, but yet you say my ethics is incorrect. I don't know how that works. Because you're telling me my ethics are incorrect, but yet you told me a second ago that I could have any ethic I want. Is it not true? Is it not true that I can have any ethic I want, or only you can have any ethic you want, but then you can force that ethic on me? That seems to be counterintuitive to what you're saying. That seems to be counterintuitive to your whole worldview, your whole paradigm, the way you see the world. You're being inconsistent, even in 2 sentences. You've been inconsistent because you see, the first one is to alleviate any outside authority upon a person's life. It is to declare autonomy. So when a person says that they don't believe in they believe in relative morality, they don't believe in absolute morals, that is a move, an intellectual, philosophical move to alleviate any constraints, any judgments you have of them, any pushback you have on them. It is to alleviate them from any criticism coming from you. This is a strategic move. They are alleviating any opinion of yours from having any influence on them. They've walled you off. Right? They put a wall up and says, your opinions have no authority here. They are not valid. Cross this line. Now, the funny thing is they send a dictate over the wall. They send this dictum over the wall, this edict that says, now, here is where you are wrong. And it's like a sovereign nation. It's like a sovereign nation coming to another sovereign nation and saying, you're wrong, we're going to overthrow you because you have a wrong worldview, you have wrong morals. We're going to overthrow you and we're going to implement our morals on you because we know better than you. Now, isn't this the whole thing? For years, I've been hearing about how the majority of the country, they were so paternalistic, and it was just, you guys are just paternalistic, and you're colonialist, and you're elitist, and you're telling everybody what to think. You're coming with a strong hand. You're ruining everything. You're destroying everything. We need to have free thought. That's fantastic. Let's have some free thought. But the moment someone gets free thought, the moment that they are freed to have the thoughts that they want to have, the same person crying everything's paternalistic suddenly becomes the most paternalistic. Isn't that interesting? When they were a minority, they said the majority shouldn't have power. The power should lie with the minority. But what happens when they become the majority, they would lose their power. They switch. They move the goalpost, right? Because they're not interested in free thinking. They're interested in power. So that's a power move to claim relativism and then to switch it around to authoritarianism. You see that switch right there? It's to say, I believe in relativism and everyone has their own ethics except for you can't have your ethic because it's wrong. Once I become an influence, once I become a social influence, then I want everyone to share my beliefs. And no one can have a belief different than mine because my belief is right. If you look at the political landscape now, the reason why that we don't hear correctly when someone says something, the reason why you can't see the good of a Obama, or you can't see the good in a Hillary Clinton, or you can't see the good in a Donald Trump, is because you've already made up in your mind they're wrong. They're wrong. Therefore, everything they say is wrong and must be protested. For all of my millennial Donald Trump hating friends, that you spout these arguments that you've been given rhetorically from Van Jones or from any of these other people that you're getting your news from, Rachel Maddow, you're getting these rhetorical statements and you're getting all this information and you think these thoughts are amazing and they're such great slams against Donald Trump. I want to give you a lesson from experience. I did the same thing with Barack Obama, with President Obama. I did the exact same thing. And I got hit with a huge, huge truth bomb when Trump won the election. When President Trump won the election, and within a few days, I heard verbatim the exact same arguments that I had made against Obama now being used. They just replaced the word Obama with the word Trump. And it was people on the left having the arguments. And every argument that I've seen has been exactly the same arguments. And it's fear, and it's they're wrong. And think about this, the amount of hatred and animosity that you can have towards a person that you think is wrong and that you think is evil. We talked about this a couple of days ago. You can do atrocities to people that you think are not people or that you think are evil. The things that you can do to them is unimaginable. It is so horrible what you can do to them. And for those of you Christians out there, if you have hatred in your heart, Jesus says in Matthew, hate is equivalent to murder. If you're allowing hate to consume you for a person, then that is going to be something you're going to have to deal with. Okay, so let's look at some other things here. While I don't go down too many more bunny trails before we actually get to the end of this. I didn't want to make it too long today, but I get cracking, and I get cracking, man. I just roll. Let's talk for a second about Young Living. Yeah, I'm going to stop in the middle of this, and we're going to talk about Young Living because Young Living essential oils actually make it possible for me to do podcasts, actually make it possible for me to study abroad. Young Living is making it possible for my family to be able to have a life outside of a 9-to-5 job. Not that a 9-to-5 job is bad. And there are lots of benefits to having a 9-to-5 job. But there are also a lot of benefits to having a small business and to be entrepreneurial. And so in this season that we're at right now with the seasonal allergies and the seasonal sniffles and things that we get, and the fact that I just have to say this as being a first-time parent of kids in school, that schools seem to be this petri dish of mutated sicknesses, in a sense. That's all I can say. And because there's so much going on there, these kids are in tight quarters all the time, and everybody's bringing their own germs, and it's always going to build your immune system. Yes, it can build your immune system. Yeah, that can happen. But it can also exhaust an immune system by constantly having to be fighting things. And the thing is, and why I say that it doesn't simply just build the immune system up is because a lot of the kids and a lot of the adults working there aren't living holistic, healthy lives. And so their immune system is on the brink anyway. If you guys know anything about gut health, you have two types of floral bacteria in your stomach. You have one that is good and one that is bad. Now, the one that's there, these good and bad are made up of different billions of strands of different types of bacteria. But you have bacteria that's labeled good and you have some that's labeled bad. Now, the good bacteria feeds off of prebiotics material, and it feeds off of things that are healthy and good for the body, and like vitamin C and all these I named one, and all these healthy things for our body. We put in there leafy vegetables, vitamin E's, all the vitamins and all those nutrients feed and increase and create strong gut health, which is where the heart of the immune system is. It's actually, something's actually called the second brain, right? Because it sort of dictates how the health of your body goes. And so by putting probiotics and prebiotics materials and rich foods into your body, you're increasing the strength of your good bacteria, which means that it decreases the level of your bad bacteria, which in turn makes you more healthy. Most of those have diets, we have thinking patterns, we have lifestyles, we have stressful lives that actually we are probably 50, 49, 51, 50.5, 49.5. We're probably right there on the verge of health and sickness most of our life. And so when we get sick, it really takes a toll on us and it kind of hits us. And so my thinking is that schools being this petri dish of bacteria, most of the people in the schools, they're on that 49.5, 50.5 verge of health or sickness. And your body can only take so much stress as it's already stressed out from schoolwork and from life and from poor diet, that over a while it actually exhausts the immune system and doesn't help the immune system and doesn't make it stronger. There is a way, though, to increase and support your immune system. And one of the ways that my family has found to do this that is it's just amazing is with a company called Young Living. They sell essential oils, among other many products. And we stumbled onto this a few years ago, and it has changed our lives. I've given my testimony many times on here, but I can tell you that preventative health measures have kept us out of the hospital. This is probably going on 3 years now. I used to get all kinds of sicknesses based on seasonal stuff. And the Young Living essential oils, I have a regimen that I use, have actually kept me out of the hospital. This is my own personal opinion for the last 3 years. All right, I haven't gone to the doctor. Now, but a year before we started using essential oils, I was just drinking hot lemon every day and taking some probiotics, and that helped. So I actually switched that over to Young Living essential oils because there's oils, right? Oils. Let me get that oi in there. Oils. They actually have created in me, I think there's a better selection of oils that do different things in here than just the lemon and the probiotics. So there is an array and a myriad of different oils that help your body. Now, I know some people are like, I don't believe that. That's fine. It's literally chemistry. These are plant-based organic materials. Our bodies are organic materials. And there are things that our bodies share that are needed. And there are certain things in plant-based organic material that adheres and helps and restores and supports our molecular and cellular structures. It's literally science. It's not a snake oil thing. It is literally science. Go to PubMed.com and you can study about essential oils. It's fantastic with the research and things being done with essential oils. It's just amazing. PubMed.com. And the other thing too about essential oils, especially in a company like Young Living, is they have a seed to seal promise. So if you see essential oils at Kroger or at Amazon or any place like this, and you're like, oh, I want to buy these. Look at this. This is $10 and I get 20 oils. Yeah, the FDA doesn't regulate essential oils. You have to self-regulate. And basically, the only real regulation the FDA puts on it is that in a specific bottle of oil, you can put the label 100% therapeutic grade oil. You can put that on the label, but only if 5% of the oil in the bottle is actually therapeutic grade oil. So 95% of the essential oils can be anything. There's no regulation. It's like with toxic chemicals and the underlying thing of fragrance, right? You say fragrance, that could be one of the 3,000 toxic chemicals out there that are grandfathered in under the 1973 Act of the FDA. Okay, that's a little scary. I don't know what I want to do. Okay, so you get your oils from somebody who's reputable, someone who has a process. And the process that Young Living has is called seed to seal. Basically, they are an organic farm, and from the time a seed is planted until it goes into the bottle and gets put in the box to be shipped out, it is under high scrutiny. It goes through the most rigorous testing. Each oil goes through 17 tests 3 times. So if a bottle of oil comes out, there's a batch process. A processed batch. That batch goes through 17 tests 3 different times, plus 2 independent third-party people also test the oils. If it fails anything, they don't use the oil to sell. They use it in other areas, like sometimes they'll take peppermint. And this rarely happens, but when it does happen, they'll take peppermint and spray it over the fields as a bug repellent or as some sort of fertilizer and things like that. They reuse the oils. They don't use gas-powered vehicles. It's an open-door policy. Anyone can visit any farm at any time, open any door, ask any question. And in order to be a Young Living farm, you have to adhere to extremely strict organic farming rules. And if you fall below that, you are let go as a farm. And I can tell you right now that Young Living did almost $4 billion in sales last year. Which brings me to my next point. Those of you out there have friends that are in Young Living and they're actually wanting to do the business and they're talking to you about it. This is a great opportunity for you to do a couple things. One, it's a great opportunity for you to support your friend in entrepreneurial pursuits. And what I mean is your friend has a great product that they're selling. That great product that they have that will do 2 things. One, it will help their family gain financial independence and security. Because in Young Living, once you get to a certain level, that income is willable and that income is residual. And that's when you start to make, this is a legitimate thing. This can actually work. I can replace my income. My husband or my wife can retire, and we can just simply focus on Young Living, and then we can go out and we can do dreams. We can give to charities. We can become the people we want to become because of this financial security that comes through the direct marketing of Young Living. 2, it gives you the opportunity to change the way you look at your friends. See, when your friend posts something on Facebook and it's like about essential oils, you're like, oh gosh, why does my friend have to do this? Just took a drink of my nice coffee with some cinnamon bark oil in it. So good. It gives you a chance to see your friend in a new light, because your friend putting that post up there is not your friend putting that post up there. It is your friend who is now a business owner and your friend who is now an entrepreneur, and they are wanting you to see them as a friend, but also as someone who is serious, as a serious business, who has a seriously amazing product. And that product can change your life and change the trajectory of the life of your children. Right? You can detoxify your entire house. You can go toxic free in your entire house. You can replace everything in your house from your candles to your dish soap to your dryer sheets to your deodorant to your 409 Clorox spray to what you clean the floors with, your washing powders, you can replace everything in your house with non-toxic plant-based organic material. You can do that. And it will change your life. Do you know, before I got back from Oxford and before I did a diet change, okay, I detoxified most of my life. I did a diet change. I'm basically doing a keto diet now, just to keep it simple. A keto diet is what I'm doing. I haven't had a migraine in a month. My nasal congestion is almost nil. The swelling of my sinuses is almost completely gone. For the last decade, the last 15 years have been absolute hell for migraines and facial migraines and swelling and sinuses and just all the pressure on my face and my brain. A diet change, a simple change in your life, replacing things that you use that you think you need, replacing them with something that your body actually needs and stuff that your body actually needs to have in it. Do you guys realize that when your body is sick or when you're tired or your body is not operating at an optimal level, do you guys realize that is your body telling you something is wrong? When you have digestive issues, it is your body telling you something is wrong here. When you have headaches, when you have joint issues, your body is saying something is wrong. It's not for you to go to the doctors and say, here's a pill that will fix this. There is some habit, there is some lifestyle that you have that is corrupting or causing your body to be in pain. You can change that. You can change that. You can replace the products in your house. You know the cleaner, the Thieves Cleaner from Young Living. My kids can spray it and breathe it in, and I don't have to worry about them getting sick. Or if they accidentally, for some reason, would drink it, like swallow a bit of it, like sometimes babies do. My kids aren't babies, but sometimes babies do that. You wouldn't have to call poison control. You simply just drink a lot of water that day, and it'll flush it out of your system. Like, I don't have anything in my house that my kids could accidentally get into and die or go blind or really, really hurt them, because I've chosen to make the change. And Young Living helps us do that. And it's just an amazing change, and it helps so much. Preventative health. It gives economic security to those who want to do the business side of it. And it allows you to change the toxic lifestyle that you have into non-toxic lifestyle, which will help your kids, because there's a rise of infertility and cancers that science is telling us that are self-inflicted. 90 to 95% of all cancer is not genetic. That means there's something in our environment and something that we're doing that's causing it. 90 to 95% of all cancers are more or less self-inflicted. What are you doing to exacerbate toxicity in your life? There's a way to change it. And Young Living is the way to do it. If you want to know more about that, go to magicisessential.com, click on our essential oils link, and find out more about it from our team. The last thing I want to talk about is a little story that I heard one time. And it goes along with, we're talking about politics, it goes along with, we're talking about essential oils in your life. It goes right here in the middle of this. And the story is a professor walks into a classroom, takes a big empty jar to the front of the class. It's a very big, wide mouth jar to the front of the class. And he says, "Is the jar full?" The class say no. He gets some big rocks, stacks them in as many as he can get in, 4, 5, 6, 10, however big the jar in your mind is imagining. Puts these rocks in there, these big rocks, probably the size of your hand. And he says, "Is the jar full?" And some of the kids say, yeah, it's full. He's like, "No, it's not full yet." And he goes and he gets a little smaller rocks, about the size of tangerines or something. And he begins to pour those and put those in there and fill in the cracks with it. And he goes, "Is the jar full?" Some of the kids pipe up, the ones who are not asleep and paying attention. They're like, "Yeah, the jar's full." He's like, "No." And he gets pea gravel out, and he pours pea gravel all through there, filling in those cracks, and fills it up to the top. And he goes, "Is the jar full?" Now, those are paying attention, and those who are getting wise to this are like, they caught on. They're like, "No, the jar's not full." And they're getting excited now because, they know the answer. And when you know the answer, you're excited, right? And so he says, "You're right." And he grabs a bag of sand and pours a bag of sand all the way to the top, bringing it to the top with sand. He goes, "Is the jar full?" This time, more of them are getting into it because, hey, this is an easy answer. It's no, it's not full. Everybody can get in on this. You can get some credit for this. The answer is no. And so they all kind of join in. "No, it's not full." He goes, "You're right." And he gets a pitcher of water and pours a pitcher of water over it and brings it all the way to the top. And it's brimming with water. And he slams it down and goes, "Is the jar full?" And the class shouts, "No, it's not full." He's like, "Yes, it's full. It's full." And they're like, oh, great. Yeah, it's full. It's full. And they're like cheering, high-fiving. And he goes, "Now, what's the lesson?" And one of the guys who's really getting energized and feeling good, he's like, I've got the answers. He goes, you can always find room for a little bit more. Professor calmed everything down and says, no. If you don't get the big rocks in first, you may not get them in at all. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute, because that's a good life lesson. I know my own personal life. When I have cheated, and I have skimmed, and I have faked my way into things. And I don't mean like fake it till you make it and trying something you're not sure about. I mean, when I have tried to skirt the edges of conflict or confrontation, I've tried to get away from work. You know how when you're in high school and college and you really just try your best, you spend more time trying to get out of work than actually just doing the work? In my life, when I do that, in my life, when I have these foundations that are solid and I'm building on them, and sometimes I'm like, it's so much easier to not dig that foundation. I'm just going to build on the grass. I'm going to build on the dirt. Look, this dirt is hard. This dirt is as hard as that stone is. It's going to be fine. And I build on that foundation. Invariably what happens is it starts to rain and tragedy happens, right? It starts to rain. Suffering happens. Conflict happens. Storm. Torrential downpour, right? And my house begins to crack and split. Baseboards begin to slide, floor starts to come apart, walls start to crack up and down the middle. And invariably that part of my house will fall. Now the part that I have built on the foundations that are solid and true, they hold. I don't care what storm comes, those hold. But when I try to build on the sand, or I try to build on something other than truth, absolute morals, when I try to build on something outside of that, when I try to build on my emotional reactions, I try to build on my emotional truths, and I don't take time to put the first things first, it will fall. Like the house of Usher, it'll come crashing down. And you know what? That, my friends, is a mercy of God. That He lets it fall. And here in my life recently, I've had moments where those things have fallen. Do you ever wonder why when you're in a relationship with someone and you keep coming to the same argument? Like you do fine for a while and you keep coming to the same argument, you keep coming to the same argument. Do you know why that is? It's because the relationship is being continually rebuilt on a bad foundation. And you have to strip the foundation down to the dirt. And if you don't have a footer that is poured of concrete, or you've never built into the rock of something solid, then it doesn't matter how much you love this person. It doesn't matter. That house is always going to fall. That relationship is always going to crumble back to where it started. Now, what may happen is you may build partial footers and you may build a little bit on the rock, and only part of your relationship will fall. And it gets easier. And with Nina and I in the last 15 years, we have the same argument, but it gets easier. It gets easier. And the house doesn't fall as much. And it just falls a little bit. Right? And the reason is because we are building parts of our relationship on solid foundation. But the parts that we're still building on the dirt or on the sand, those parts are the ones that always fall. And it is a mercy when you can stop and you can see that this right here, this is a mercy of God that you let this fall, because I can rebuild this. In the Old Testament, one of the prophets, I can't remember which one, I think it's Jeremiah or Isaiah, one of those two, I think. But the prophet said that the pot is marred in the hands of the potter. You see, when the potter's making that vase or that pot or that urn, and there's an air bubble in it, and he can see it, you can't just smooth it out. If he puts it in the kiln and he heats that up, it's going to pop a crack and it's going to have a blemish on that bowl. And so the potter has to smash it back down and start all over again. In our lives, if we don't get those big rocks in first, if we don't get that foundation laid, it will fall over and over and over and over again. Why do you keep falling into sin? Why do you keep tripping over lies? Why do you keep doing the same things you've always done? It's because you're trying to build on the same foundations, because it's easy and it's quick and it's a cheat code. Guess what? In life, there are no easy ways. There is no free lunch in life. Everything costs something. And if you want something, you want a life worth living, you want a life full of hope, you want a life full of love, it's going to cost you your time, your blood, your sweat, your tears. You're going to have to give of yourself. And if you're not ready to do that, then every relationship you build will be built on the whimsical sands, and it will fall anytime that there is a big argument or anytime that there is something in your life that is earth-shaking. In Revelation, it says, anything that can be shaken will be shaken. And that's why the Bible also tells us to buy gold tried in the fire, something that's refined. If you don't get the big rocks in first, you may not get them in at all. Now, this is hopeful for us. So today, as I end, I want you to be thinking this is I want to be encouraged that if you're at the bottom, if you've hit rock bottom, or if my Uncle Terry used to say, I'm looking up at the bottom. If you're looking up at the bottom, that's good news, because you're still breathing. You still have consciousness. You still have free will. You still have life. You can still change your trajectory. You can still make a difference. And you know what it takes? It takes you getting the shovel out, and it takes you getting a bag of concrete and the sand and the water. And it's you digging a footer and saying, I'm going to build something that's going to last. If you build on relativism, or if you build on some sort of postmodern philosophy, it will fall every single time. Think about this. Every postmodern philosophy that's out there right now, every postmodern philosophy that is prominent and influential in our world is now cannibalistic. It is eating itself. It is eating others, right? Transgenderism is eating feminism, and feminism is fighting back. Why? Because they're incoherent logically. They have an internal conflict. They have internal self-destruct. They are not built on the solid foundation. And the only solid foundation that I have found in my entire life, and I will talk about that another time, the only solid foundation I've found in my entire life, in my study and search for truth, is the rock himself, Jesus Christ. Be encouraged. Be full of hope. 1 Peter 1:3-15 says, be ready to give an answer to all men who ask about the joy and the hope that is in you. There is hope in me, and today I wanted to share that hope with you. Get the shovel out, get the wheelbarrow out, get the concrete, get the mix, get the water, go to work and start building foundations that will sustain and actually will last when the storms of life come. Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic Friday. Have a great weekend. See you next week.